Good morning. Today we are starting the new chapter, that is classification of animal. Friends, in the last year you had studied the classification of plants, in which you had studied the whole plant kingdom. According to the five kingdom systems of Whittaker, all the organisms present on the earth, they are divided into the five kingdoms. And that is called as the Whittaker five kingdom system. So whenever we are studying the individual kingdom, at that time firstly we should have to study the classification of the living organism. We know that the whole living world, the living organisms, they are broadly divided according to the type of a cell that is present. We know that the cell is the basic structural and functional unit of the life. So whenever we are distinguishing the organism, at that time we should have to consider the cell for the first time. So the living organisms, on the basis of the structure of the cell, that is whether it is a prokaryotic or the eukaryotic. So on that basis, the living organisms, they are divided into two types, that is prokaryote and eukaryote. Prokaryote and eukaryote. Pro means without and karyon means nucleus. Those living organisms where the cell is without a well-defined nucleus, all they are included in the prokaryote, and the eukaryotic organisms are those where the cell, it contains well-defined nucleus with the nuclear membrane. So in this way, the whole living world or living organisms, they are classified into the prokaryote as well as eukaryote. And those they are the prokaryotic organism, all they are having a single cell structure. Single cell structure. So all they are included in the first kingdom, that is kingdom Monera. It is a kingdom Monera. The word gives the meaning. Mono means one. And the organisms which are included in the Monera, kingdom Monera, they contain prokaryotic single cell structure. Okay, so here it is the first kingdom, that is kingdom Monera. Now about the eukaryotic organism. Another criteria which has been considered while differentiating the eukaryotic organism, that is whether the organism is unicellular or multicellular. Unicellular or multicellular. Here the unicellular organisms, they are eukaryotic. Here this kingdom Monera, it also contains the unicellular organism, but these are the prokaryotic organism. And the unicellular eukaryotic organisms, they are included in the second kingdom, that is kingdom Protista. Kingdom Protista. Kingdom Protista. This kingdom Protista, these include all the unicellular algae. All the unicellular algae like Chlorella, Chlamydomonas, Volvox, all these are the unicellular algae, and they are included in the second kingdom of that Whittaker. Actually, this five kingdom system of classification has been given by the scientist Whittaker. You had already studied this in the last year. Here for your revision it is given. It is given, and whenever you are studying, from now, whenever you are studying, you should have to be with your textbook, so that I will tell you the part which is omitted. Actually, if you have to prepare for the competitive, you don't have to worry about the omitted syllabus and which is given or not. We have to study thoroughly, but I will tell you which is omitted part and which is for your study. Okay, so this is the second kingdom, that is kingdom Protista. Now, those they are multicellular eukaryotic organism, For this, another criteria has been considered, that is whether the cell it contains the cell wall or the cell is without cell wall. So on that basis, these multicellular eukaryotic living organism, they are again divided into two types, that is with a cell wall and without cell wall. Without cell wall. Without cell wall. Cell wall is one of the most important cell content or cell organelle. We can say the outer covering that can differentiate the plants from the animals. Okay, so with cell wall and without cell wall. Those organisms which are having the well distinct cell wall, they are multicellular and eukaryotic. They are again divided into two types on the basis of the mode of nutrition. That is the autotrophic mode of nutrition and heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Heterotrophic mode of nutrition. What is the autotrophic mode of nutrition? Auto means self and trop means feeder. Those they are a self feeder, means those they can synthesize their own food material. They are included in the third kingdom, that is kingdom Plantae, that we had already studied in the last year. Kingdom Plantae. It is the kingdom Plantae. And heterotrophic mode of nutrition. These are the organisms which are having the well distinct cell wall. They are multicellular eukaryotic living organism, but they shows the heterotrophic mode of nutrition, means they depend for their food on the other organisms. Actually, they show the saprophytic mode of nutrition and they are included in the fourth kingdom, that is kingdom Fungi. You can say fungi or you can say fungi. The spelling is F-U-N-G-I. Okay, so this is the fourth kingdom, that is kingdom Fungi. Now, about the last kingdom, those with organisms, they are without cell wall, multicellular and eukaryotic. They are included in the last kingdom, that is kingdom Animalia. Okay, so here it is the kingdom Animalia. So in this way, the whole living organisms, they are divided into 5 kingdoms. Kingdom 1, that is the Monera. Then kingdom 2, that is kingdom Protista. Then third kingdom, that is kingdom Plantae. Fourth kingdom, that is kingdom Fungi. And the fifth kingdom, that is kingdom Animalia. And in this chapter, we have to study in detail about the kingdom Animalia. In the last year, you had already studied the kingdom Plantae, that is the classification of plants. And here, in this chapter, we have to study the kingdom Animalia, means the classification of the animal. You can make the pause on the screen and you write all this in your textbook. So friends, when you are watching the video, you should have your textbook with you, so that I will show you the part which is omitted. This part is not omitted, that I am teaching now. Now the part which is omitted for you, only the first on page number 61. You can see page number 61. Can you recall? This is omitted. This is the extra information which is given. Okay. Now we are moving on page number 62. Now it become very essential to show you this one. Page number 62. There is a history of animal classification is given, which is a omitted part. From time to time to up to the classification, animal classification. This whole paragraph, it is omitted for the from your syllabus. Okay, now we are moving towards the next point, that is the benefits of animal classification. Benefits of animal classification. Why it is essential to study the animals, or why the animal classification is very essential? We know that a variety of animals are present around us, and these animals, they are present at the different habitat. They are having the different size and shape. Some animals which are ranging from the unicellular organism to the giant elephant-like animals. So, in order to study all these animals, the classification of animal, it plays a very important role. So, now we will see what are the benefits of classification or animal classification. The first benefit of the animal classification is that whenever we are studying the animal classification, the study of animal, it become easy. Or the first benefit of animal classification, it is that study of animal become convenient. Study of animals become convenient. Study of animal, it become convenient. Whenever we are studying the animal, at that time, whatever may be the different animals which are present around us, we can easily understand the size, shape, their habit as well as the habitat. So this is the first benefit, that is study of animal, it become convenient. The second benefit of the animal classification is that whenever we are studying the few animals from the group, we can get the clear-cut idea about the entire group. We can get the idea about entire group. I am writing here shortly, idea about entire group. Suppose if we study only one of the animal from the panthera, that is a tiger or a lion. If we study a few of the animals, then we can get the clear-cut idea about the entire animals which are present in the group. In case of the lower animal, for example, if we study the earthworm, okay, earthworm, it belongs to the Annelida. Then if we study the earthworm, then whatever may be the other animals present in that group, we can get the clear-cut idea about. Similar case about the arthropoda, which is the largest animal group or phyla among the non-chordates. All the insects throughout the world, they are all included in the arthropods or the arthropoda, which is very interesting. Actually, animal classification, it is a very interesting, and whenever we are studying few animals, then we can get the clear idea about all the animals which are present in that group. Okay, now the third benefit, that is it gives the idea about the animal classification or animal evolution. It gives the idea about animal evolution. We know that evolution is a continuous process, and we had already studied that there are some animals which are the connecting link. You revise which are the animal we had studied: peripatus, then lungfish, platypus. These are the animals which we had studied as a connecting link. Apart from this, there are many such animals which are the connecting link. We say that we are the descendant of the monkeys. Means from the monkeys we are evolved. So whenever we are studying the different animals, at that time we can get the idea about the animal evolution. Animal evolution. Okay, now the fourth benefit of the animal classification is that animals can be easily identified with the great accuracy. There are many animals present around us, but we can't identify them if we do not classify the animal properly. So that the identification of the animal, the animal classification, it plays a very important role. Identification become easier. because of the animal classification or study of the animal classification. Now the next benefit of the animal classification of animal is that it helps to understand the relationship of the animal with the other living world. When we study the animals, then we can study their food related need, we can study their habit as well as the habitat. So whenever these animals they are residing in a particular area, they will show the effect on the other biotic as well as the abiotic factors present in that area. So whenever we are studying the animal, it will become easier the relationship of the animal with the other living organisms present in that area. So there are many such factors which are which are useful whenever we are studying the classification of the animal. And the last point that is necessary whenever we are studying the animal classification, that we can easily study the adaptations present in the animal. We know that the snow bear, it is present where it is present? It is present at the Antarctica, peaks of the Antarctica. Okay, seal and walrus, these are the fishes which are present below the snow or ice that is present at Antarctica. These fishes, they are not present in our area. Camel is the animal which is present at the desert. This camel is not present in the Himalayan region. Yak is present in the Himalayan region. Why such animals? They are predominant in a particular area because they show the adaptations that can withstand the prevailing atmospheric condition. So whenever we are studying the animal classification, at that time we can study easily the adaptations present in the animal. Okay, so there are many such benefits of the animal classification. So this is the general idea about the animal classification. In the next video, we will see the classification of the animals. Thank you.